So, right now, war is still going on in Vietnam, and it is the first television war where footage was taken of the war that was going on in Vietnam. With that, a credibility act developed, and what that means is just a lack of trust. At the University of Michigan, there was even a teach-in, and that's where classes were held to discuss about the issues of this war. And as we all know, with the war, there's a draft. However, about 500,000 refused to go. Many burned their draft cards in front of the Pentagon, and some stayed and went to prison. Soldiers that went argued that if they were old enough to fight, they should be old enough to vote. And that is how the 26th Amendment was ratified, giving citizens 18 and older the right to vote. Although many opposed, 53% of the poll favored the war, and only 24% wanted the war to end, and the other 23%, I'm not exactly sure. People in favor of the war were the Hawks, and people not in favor of the war were hippies. The Dubs. While they were arguing, soldiers were still fighting at the war. And all of a sudden, the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese launched a surprise attack known as the Tet Offensive. Viet Cong didn't do so hot, but North Vietnamese did do quite some damage. Even General Westmoreland requested 209,000 troops in addition to the 500,000 already there. With all this stuff going on in Vietnam, Johnson announces to the public that he has decided not to run for another term, and this shocks everyone. To make matters even worse, both Martin Luther King Jr. and candidate Robert Kennedy were killed, and this causes a huge riot. And protesters and police forces begin to fight, and it is all just outrageous. So now both Humphrey and Nixon remain in run for presidency. Well, so is Wallace, but no one cares about him. In the end, Nixon wins, and now what will happen next?